Well, this is frustrating. Hi, it's Jeff Oppen, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Career Coach Office Hours for January 28th, 2022. I lost my audience today, but let's see if you'll find me. Um, I was trying to do the show that I'd set up previously, and unfortunately, had this audio cutting in and out. And frankly, I had to give up. It was awful. So, my apologies. I hope you can find me and ask me questions in chat. Uh, Tuesdays and Fridays at 9:15 a.m. Eastern. I do career coach office hours where I answer questions from you that you forwarded to me in advance or are provided to me in chat. If you ever want to send them to me in advance, all you have to do is, well, it's really very simple. You email them to me at thebiggamehunter@gmail.com. And in the subject line, put the phrase office hours. This way, you know what it's about. I should say, I know what it's about and can organize myself to have questions prepared for the show. And boy, I've got a lot of questions. That's why it was so frustrating to not be able to connect a moment ago and to keep losing audio back and forth, back and forth. Awful, awful, awful. But I'll just simply say if you have a question for me, put it into chat. I'd be very happy to answer your questions. And, it's, let me just go on and say, I start off these shows by doing a coffee toast. It's a way of acknowledging those of you who put out so much for your organizations and you care. At best in the United States, employee engagement is at approximately 33%, which that's the best in the world, which is pretty scary, don't you think? And that means that 67% of you are in situations where you don't like your job, you're kind of neutral or bored, and there are those of you who are actively undermining your employer. So I want to acknowledge those of you who are engaged, who put out an effort every day with my toast to you. Morning coffee. Yay. And tell you that I appreciate you. People who care, people who put in effort need to be valued. And I hope your organization sees what you give to them day in and day out. That doesn't mean that you're perfect all the time, but it means that you try and you care. In chat, I put ways that you can reach me. Uh, you can visit my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us, and I've got a lot of great information there. You can schedule time for a free discovery call, schedule time for coaching. Visit the blog where I've got more than 12,000 posts that you can watch, listen to, or read that will help you with your job search, with hiring more effectively, with management leadership, and a whole bunch more. And you can find out about my books and guides, my courses. I'm working on a course now about how to start your new job well. I'm not done with it yet, but I'm making good progress with it, and that will hopefully be available in the next 2 weeks. I'll also mention that I'm speaking next Friday after the show. I'm presenting over Zoom to PSG of Monmouth County, New Jersey. They've got a LinkedIn page. If you want to find out how to attend, you can contact them and see if you can attend the presentation. I'm pretty sure it's free. If it isn't, I apologize, but I'm doing a presentation there about salary negotiation mistakes. So again, next Friday at approximately 10 a.m., I go on, and it's going to be a busy morning for me. I'll simply say that. Now, I have a whole bunch of questions to answer today, and I'm happy to answer yours. So put them into chat, and let me see if I can be of help. Okay. So the first question I have is it okay for a hiring software company to tell its applicants to build an app for free that they would normally charge for and also give out the source code as part of the hiring process? No, it's not okay. Because we know what you're doing is you're going to steal the work and try and sell it. So no, that's not acceptable. You're being a cheat and a thief. Is that something you want to do, have someone do for you? Because after all, they could be working for you, working on their own stuff and trying to sell it while you're paying them. You wouldn't want that. You'd attempt to claim it as your own. These people are applying for a position. They are applicants by your own definition. They are not providing free consulting or giving away their work for free. You're stealing. So, no, it is not okay. Question number two, I kind of got heated over that one. How do you avoid hiring the wrong people for your startup? Get clear about what is needed by the startup and how you're going to evaluate for it. Check references uh, and ensure that those references really know the person. Now, when I say get clear about what's needed, what requirements do you have? What is this person going to do for you? So you can explain it to them and be clear about what your expectations are going to be. And in terms of how you're going to evaluate for it, well, I say that because as a C-suite person, as a chief technology officer, as a chief marketing officer, you may be in a position where you ask others to do some of the interviewing, and thus they're not clear about what you really need someone to do or want them to do, and the result winds up being bad interviewing. Really bad interviewing because you're on one page and the other people are on different pages and they don't know what to assess for. But the long and the short of it is it becomes a situation that's a cluster. The next part of the phrase. So get clear, explain it to others and how you want it to do. Get clear about what's needed, get clear about how you're going to evaluate, explain the expectations you're going to have to the people that you're interviewing so that there are no surprises once they're on board. Here are two statistics no one likes to hear, but are absolutely true. You, as a hiring manager, have buyer's remorse within 18 months of bringing on people 63% of the time. Job hunters have it happen much sooner. Within 6 months, they regret the decision they made to join you. And part of that's your fault because you don't tell them what you're going to expect them to do. You oversell opportunities. Just be honest with folks. You'll get much more out of them and get a better quality individual. Okay. Do recruiters have a say in hiring? So I'm going to answer this for corporate recruiters. So they don't make the decision to hire. They make a decision to reject. They influence the hire, but they don't actually hire. So just to be clear about that, they don't make the decision to hire. They can reject, and many times do. Nothing happens as a result of you being rejected. And thus, they don't hire, they reject, they influence the actual decision maker, who is referred to as the hiring manager, the person you'd actually be working for. So the answer is no, they don't, except to reject. I just want to remind you folks, if you have a question about job search, hiring better, management, leadership, or want some advice about a workplace issue, put it into chat. I see there's a word missing there. Never mind. I'm kind of still thrown by the previous episode with the previous attempt to record. And if you're on LinkedIn, just put something into chat to let me know that LinkedIn is working properly and you found me. I'd appreciate it. And I'll just simply say sorry for that inconvenience if you were on LinkedIn and you haven't found me until after the show. Next question. What should you do if you hire a programmer who's better than the CTO of the startup? Let me repeat that one because it's bizarre. What should you do if you hire a programmer who is better than the founder slash CTO of the startup? Now, they're a programmer for a reason. They don't want to be a CTO yet. They want to learn from the CTO. So consider yourself lucky that you have a talented individual there who will learn from the CTO, and the CTO will be able to direct them and mentor them so that they can move ahead, whether it's with your organization or the next. How do I get started in finding and using a virtual assistant? Okay. Well, on LinkedIn, there are a lot of VA firms that promote themselves on the site. I know I'm contacted by virtual assistants pretty regularly, or virtual assistant firms around the world. You can also go onto sites like Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer to find virtual assistants. But the one thing you want to do is to be clear about what you need them to do before you engage the conversation. This way, there's no wasting time. You can assess them for what you're going to need them or want them to do, and determine who's price appropriate for you. How lucrative is a career as a recruitment consultant? I'm going to assume you're talking about third-party recruiter here and not a corporate recruiter. I agree. I'm sorry, LinkedIn user, because I don't see your name there. It just says LinkedIn user. The programmer may not be a better person or programmer. Thank you. The second message in chat said, exactly. Great comment, Jeff. Thank you so much. Again, I always try and do it right and honestly. I appreciate the acknowledgement. And it's good to see that LinkedIn is working now and audio is fine. Super. Let me go on to the next question. How lucrative is a career as a recruiter or recruitment consultant? And the answer is very lucrative or not lucrative at all. Like any profession, there are people who do extraordinarily well and people who don't. I know, for a long time when I did recruiting, I was doing $250,000 a year in my pocket. And there were, recessionary times where I wasn't making anywhere near that because being a recruiter is a commissioned salesperson, as a sales position. The result winds up being that, in good times and when you have clients and support and resources and tools, you do very well, especially when you're competent, as I was. And then there are others who are starting out, who are learning, who are developing their skills, just like the example of the programmer or an accountant. You develop experience with time that allows you to learn and grow and be successful. And there are people who can do it faster than others, and most of you don't know. So I'll simply say, be respectful of recruiters. They're not there to hurt you. If they seem like a waste of time, you don't have to have them represent you, and you don't have to be rude to them. So the question was about compensation. Hard to know, but people can do very well. And I was talking about making $250,000 a year. I know quite a few who do significantly more than that, who are what's referred to as working a desk. And I'm not talking about the owners whose income also comes from the company and a percentage of sales from their staff. I'm just talking about individual contributors and what they can earn. Let's go to the next question. Um, how can I become a great CEO in a short time? You can't. You can't. Like Stu, people develop abilities over time. A great programmer doesn't have 6 months of experience, right? Becoming a great CEO in a short time is laughable. First of all, if you're asking the question, you're not ready to be CEO of a firm. So let's not kid ourselves here. You need coaching and mentoring and support and a team around you, and learn how to inspire and hire and do your work well. You need to be in a situation where you set up an environment where people can win at what the firm is chartered to do. That doesn't happen in a short time. So the question lets me know you're not ready. Get ready. Next question is, when can one negotiate profit sharing with a company? You can't. Profit sharing is a non-negotiable thing. It is issued institutionally for employees or employees at a certain certain positional level. It is not negotiable. If you're asking this question as a job hunter, it's not a negotiable benefit, period. After all, the concept is profit sharing. There needs to be profit. And as such, they're not doing loss sharing, are they? Like, you're not giving them back money if they're losing money. But there's no such thing as negotiating profit sharing. Let's go to the next question. What are the consequences of lying to recruiters about current salary? I want to be very cautious here and say I'm not going to endorse lying in any way, shape, or form. I don't do that. Bad business. You get caught, you get hurt. Really that simple. These days, more and more firms cooperate about compensation. Now, it's one thing if you misspeak about $500 or $1,000 from a few years ago. It's another thing to lie about what you earn in your current job. So if you get caught in a lie, you can basically say, I'm sorry, I miscalculated. I apologize. And be humble about it. If you're caught in a lie pre-hire, you have the opportunity to correct yourself, particularly if you haven't filled out an application. The application's a legal document. It's that simple. And as such, they have the right to terminate you, fire you, throw you out, get rid of you if you're caught lying based upon a legal document. Got that? And when I worked in search, there were 2 episodes where I had cautioned people about lying. They did it anyway. One about their education, another one about a college degree. In the case of one was about a college degree. The other one was about job history. So in the case of the job history person, they found out by the end of the first week, invited him into the head of HR's office because this was a person who was hired at a fairly significant level. He confessed and was escorted out the door. He lost his job in 1 week's time. In the case of the other person who lied about education, they too were fired. They were met by security on Friday afternoon, no conversation. They were handed a box of their possessions and escorted out the building. So there's, firms cooperate with one another these days. Lying about salary, it's one thing if you talk about a few $100 or $1,000 or $5,000 and confess immediately you made a mistake. Your math was off. I thought I was making this, but apparently I'm not. And own up to it. particularly in the run-up to you starting. Post-employment, it can be tragic for you. Let's go to the next question. Let's see now. I took early retirement a while ago and need to return to the workforce, but I've emailed thousands of resumes and I haven't gotten a single interview. Got a suggestion for me? Yeah, stop emailing thousands of resumes, because obviously you're a spammer at this point. You're applying for everything and not targeting. What is it you're capable of doing? Are you explaining why it is you're looking for a job? Because your resume may indicate a huge employment gap without explanation. That again can be destructive to your candidacy. Stop sending out thousands of resumes. Contact people you worked with previously. Don't know how to reach them? Google them. See if you can find them on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Contact them. Hey, I got to get back to work. We had a good relationship. Anything going on at your place? Maybe you could recommend me. Maybe you could refer me. But I know it's frustrating, but right now what you're doing isn't working. And if you keep doing it, you're going to keep getting the results. Maybe you'll get an interview or two, because if you throw enough crap up against the wall, eventually something sticks. But so far, you're disproving that statement when you say I've emailed thousands of resumes. Try something different. Try contacting people who you've worked with and see if they can refer you to their firm. How do you update LinkedIn to say looking for work? I had to look this one up. I got this question in advance. I looked it up just to make sure it was right. Number one, click the me icon on the top of your LinkedIn homepage. Click View Profile. Click the Open To button. Click Finding a New Job. Provide the information in the pop-up window that appears. Click Add to Profile. That's it. That's it. So that's how you update LinkedIn to say looking for work. Sorry, I got distracted by a question that was next. It's not all that radically different than the one about the early retirement. What do I need to add to my resume? I've sent it to a few companies like a month ago, but I never got invited to a job interview. Do I need to delete something or to highlight words or sections or add something? How can I boost it more? The simplest thing I can tell you to do is make the fit obvious. Pretend a 6-year-old is reading it. And the result wound up being that, people are looking at resumes and systems are looking at resumes and making very quick decisions. The systems are looking for data in the top half of page 1 that's going to demonstrate that you might viably be a fit. Otherwise, you're just going into the database. People are making decisions in 5 or 6 seconds. I know I made decisions in even less than that. So make the fit obvious as to how your background fits the role that they're trying to fill, and that will help you get results. Now, in the chat, LinkedIn user at 9:41 a.m. messaged and said, so I recently got feedback from a recent interview that I did very well in my interview, but I didn't have any comprehensive event management in a professional environment. Any idea of what to say or do in this case? Because a majority of my work is either freelance or volunteer. Well, why they interviewed you is bizarre, because I'm sure your resume made it very clear that that wasn't your background, that you'd done it freelance. So what it comes down to is it's not just what you say that matters. It's how you tell your story that inspires confidence that you're the solution to a need. Now, look at it from their standpoint. Their concern is that you're a freelancer and they want to hire an employee. Maybe you're making more per hour than what they're prepared to pay for an employee. That may not matter to you. It may matter to them because they become fearful that they'll lose you when you start noticing the difference in compensation. And yeah, I know you're not working all the time, but they don't think that way. They're fear-based. So the result winds up being your goal is to get them to trust you. And that was probably the missing ingredient, is to say things in ways that conveyed sincerity to them. And I'm not saying you're a deceptive person at all, but it's not just what you say that matters, but how you say it. And one of the simplest ways to convey sincerity I've been trying to illustrate here is by softening my voice and slowing down what I say. Because pace like this conveys sincerity. It suggests that what I'm saying is heartfelt and truthful, right? And thus, on interviews, when you get to this part of the interview, you have to look at them in the eye, as I'm trying to do with you on camera, and say, yeah, I know if I were in your shoes, I'd be concerned that you're hiring a person who's been a freelancer. But the fact of the matter is, I want to go to work for an organization full time. I want to associate with a firm and help it get results. Being a freelancer was fine. Doing it volunteer has been fine, but it's time. I want to go to work for an organization and deliver great results like I have in my other situations. So I hope you can feel that I'm being truthful, because I am. And that will go a long way toward convincing someone that they should trust you. And if they still don't, you are up against a roadblock that you can transcend. And given the fact that you got an interview and that you impressed them, that's the missing ingredient. And I know it's a hard one for people to get, but I apologize for those of you who watched me previously. When firms hire, competence is only one thing they look for. They look for self-confidence, character, chemistry, maybe a little bit of charisma. Charismatic people always do better than non-charismatics. They look for people who care. And ultimately, when these get added up, it translates into, we trust them that they could do this job. So to me, the missing ingredient is there's something that was missing in the trust that didn't come across in the interview. Like you said, you answered the questions well, there was good feedback, and they didn't fully trust you. So work with someone. I'd be happy to coach you with that. Yes, I do charge for that, but I can teach you ways to be more effective beyond simply what I'm doing now. And I do hope that helps you. Let's go to the next question. And I'll just simply say, folks, I'm going to come back here for a second. If you've got a question for me, put your questions about job search, hiring, management, leadership, or asking for advice about any workplace issues, put them into chat. I'd be very happy to answer your questions. And in addition, I've got a lot available at my website. Hello. Visit thebiggamehunter.us to schedule time for a free discovery call, a coaching session for which I charge, of course, to visit my blog, which has more than 12,000 searchable posts, to find out about my courses and books and guides. Also, my YouTube channel at JobSearchTV.com. The content is also on my website, but if you prefer YouTube, that's my channel. It has 7,000 plus videos there, and No BS Job Search Advice Radio, which is #1 in Apple Podcasts for job search. More than 2,300 episodes over 11 years. I've helped a lot of people that way. So a lot of different ways I offer information to people. I'll also say, folks, Okay, I just want to make sure this last post was the last one that I entered. Um, I coach a lot of folks, so be happy to help you. Let's go to another question. If a new job seems very different after the first day than what you were led to believe during the interview process, what's a reasonable amount of time to stick with it before finding something else? I'm going to tell you something that HR people and hiring managers are going to hate, but it serves you as a new hire. I'm a believer that for 60 days, for 2 months after you join, you continue conversations with other firms for exactly this reason. See, one of the things I learned when I worked in recruiting, and this is going to sound crass, but it's true, is everyone lies. You as a job hunter exaggerate your capabilities. Recruiters, third-party recruiters, the good ones are only the messenger of the, shall we say, um, misrepresentations between the party. They don't add their own. But when I worked in recruiting, it took me no time to figure out what I said about job hunters, but it took me a while to figure out that employers are lying too. And I realized that when it came to me that I'd never heard of a firm say to a job hunter, we've got problems around here. And I've inherited a team of imbeciles. And, I've got a tight schedule. And my predecessor got fired, and so did hers. I need to hire someone to save my bacon. No one ever says that, but it's the truth of situations. And there are also the situations where people are sitting there like zombies. It's like Night of the Living Dead. I'm bored all day long. I'm moving the paper from here to there to here. And, they're dead from the neck up. So, given the fact that other people, job hunters are on good behavior and exaggerating their capabilities, and employers are as well, I don't want you being caught in the deceits that the employers are throwing at you. Keep exploring other things until you get settled in. Do a great job from day one. Don't give them a reason to question their decision to hire you. Just do a great job, push it, and be effective, but keep looking for a while longer. Perhaps someone else will come up with something better that will transcend. Terry says, "You are so entertaining to watch." Oh, thank you, Terry. Terry's a regular, and I'm glad I could entertain. I think I've got another question. The classic. How do you get job experience if employers only hire people with experience? The classic catch-22 question. You do have experience, folks. And if you went to school and you have the interview, there's something in your background that they want to find out about you. So the result winds up being you interned, you took classes, you volunteered, do all those sorts of things. Get some work experience. Again, it could be volunteering for an organization, doing the kind of work that you want to be doing. It could be interning for 6 months, doing the kind of work that you want to be doing. Do it world class. Perhaps the firm will hire you. I want you to hear that one. Do it world class. Perhaps the firm you're interning at or volunteering at will want to hire you. And thus, you're getting experience and you can talk about this experience on interviews. That's really the best way to do it. And you keep applying and you keep your skills current. And if you're in certain fields, you try to get yourself certified in whatever your expertise is. So, for example, as a young man I was coaching, he graduated school just in time for the pandemic, and no one was hiring in his part of the country. So I suggested he get himself certified in the skill that he claimed to be proficient in, which was Python. did certification training. It upped his game pretty dramatically. He got hired by a government agency that shall be nameless, and is performing great there. So the way to do it is just like I laid it out, or get yourself certified, because it's going to accelerate your skills quite a bit and have you stand up from the pack of people who you're competing with. And you know you're competing with people, right? And if you're getting in the door, you do have a shot. And you just don't want to be in a situation where you're blowing your shot. Okay. So I'm going to wrap things up. And if you have a question, just put it into chat. But I'm Jeff Altman. Hope you found this helpful. I'm just going to remind you that you can visit my website to schedule time for a free discovery call, schedule time for coaching. You can visit my blog where I've got more than 12,000 posts that you can watch, listen to, or read. Find out about my courses, books, and guides. There's just a lot there to help you. And you can also subscribe to JobSearchTV on YouTube. By the way, it's also on Amazon. So if you got a Fire TV or a Fire Stick, you can watch me on your big screen. No BS Job Search Advice Radio is #1 in Apple Podcasts for job search. And what you can do with that is subscribe, just like you can on YouTube, and catch my podcast, catch my videos as I release them. I hope you have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.